Hi everyone, this is Kylie from Stampers Workshop. Today we're making a card straight out of the pages of the Sale-A-Bration brochure. We're using the Friendly Hello bundle, so the papers and the stamps, as well as the scallop contours dies. Create a card base from fresh FREESIA cardstock and then take that little cute floral image and stamp randomly all over the background. Make sure you do stamp off the edge as well, just makes it look a little bit more natural. I haven't stamped the entire background though because I am going to cover it with some patterned paper, which I'm cutting out with these scalloped contours dies. I love these dies, I use them a lot. And isn't this paper beautiful? That comes as part of the bundle. So I'm just layering it down so you can see where I'm heading with this design. Take a panel of basic white cardstock, which is cut to approximately 7.5 centimetres by 8.5 centimetres. And then this is where we're going to do the majority of our stamping. Ink up the main floral image in fresh FREESIA ink, and then we're going to do the leaves all in Granny Apple Green. Now you can see here I didn't actually ink up that stamp properly, so it's got a sort of doesn't look as clean and crisp as I would have liked it. I did toy with restamping it, and I did toy with restamping the entire panel, but then I thought it might kind of add a little bit of extra. No one's going to know that I messed up. Well, at least I hope they're not going to know. I hope they'll think it's an intentional part of my design. I then move on to stamping with Petal Pink Ink, and you can see here I'm sort of adding some of those texture dots. And so some of them I'm stamping full strength and some I'm just stamping off again and again. Now you could move on to the next step from here, but we're going to add a little bit more colour. So take Daffodil Delight and Fresh FREESIA and push some ink onto a clear block as a palette, and then take your blender pen, and that's how we're going to add the colour today. So just dip the blender pen straight into the ink and then colour in the images. And once you've finished with the colour that you're using, all you need to do is just scribble it off to the side, and that basically cleans the nib. Just remember that when you first load the pen with ink, wherever you put that onto the paper is going to be the darkest. So in my case, I was very particular about starting close to the centre of the flower because I wanted it to be dark there and then fade as it went out further. So just think about that before you put your colour down, because you don't want to ruin something that you've worked for a long time on by starting somewhere where you don't want that dark colour. And I've coloured the other flower in exactly the same way, so that colouring is now complete. So it's time to do the sentiment. Bring in some basic black cardstock, some scrap paper, and if you've got an embossing buddy or powder tool, use that because we're going to do some heat embossing. Ink up your stamp with VERSAMARK. Make sure you do it a little bit better than I did it with my stamping here. And then we're going to add some white embossing powder. If you don't think it's covered it well, just add a little bit more. And if you've got any stray flecks or anything, you could use a paintbrush to wipe them away. Get your heat tool nice and hot and then watch that powder melt. It's the best, isn't it? Now we're just going to trim the sentiment strip to size. You could use a die if you wanted to have like a stitched edge or a scalloped edge or whatever, but I just decided to keep it simple. Okay, now let's bring all of those components back together again because we're going to assemble the card. Any of these layers you could actually pop up with Stampin' Dimensionals. It just depends on how dimensional you want your card. I've decided I want my first 2 layers to be flat though, so I'm just adding some seal. You'll also notice that how we're layering the pieces together is a little off-centered, so the Petal Pink pattern paper is slightly to the right and the stamped image is slightly to the left. Okay, now we're going to add some ribbon to our sentiment strip. I don't have any Petal Pink ribbon, so I'm using some pale papaya, and it matches really, really well, so that was good. And I'm just going to pop it up with some dimensionals, pop it into position. Then it needs bling, so we're getting some of the 2021 to 2023 in colour jewels in Fresh FREESIA to match with the rest of the card. Pop them into position. If you don't have them, you could use some plain pearls, which you could colour, or just plain ones. I think they look nice, or some bling in the form of rhinestones. Okay, we're going to work on the inside of the card now. I'm using the same die that I used to cut out the pattern paper to cut a panel of basic white cardstock, and that's going to be on our inside. I like to do something on the inside, but it doesn't have to be super fancy. So I'm just inking up the same stamp in Fresh FREESIA I'm stamping it on the bottom corner, and then I'm going to get the Granny Apple Green ink out again and stamp some of the leaves just to add a little touch more colour. And that's all I'm going to do. You could colour them in as well, like you had on the front with the blender pen, but I think it looks just as nice as a line drawing. All you need to do then is add your seal and attach it to the inside of the card. Still plenty of room to write. And I think it looks really pretty. So before we finish it though, I did think it needed another little hint of bling. So I'm just adding a coat of Wink of Stella. I tend to use that on everything. I like the fact that you get that nice shimmer, but it's not in your face too glittery. It's just a really nice soft look. And that is the card for today. I hope you've enjoyed it. All of the products used to create this card are linked below. They'll take you to my online shop, and it's for Australian customers only, I'm afraid. You can visit my blog at stampersworkshop.com. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day. Bye.